Hello and welcome to the Heel Turn Podcast for the week of October 14th, 2013. I am your host, Big Al. With me, as almost always, is
Nick, the Shopmaster McGee,
and our technical producer,
Sensational SoCy.
Well, we're not going to bury the lead. We have a lot to cover in a short time to do it in. Coming up on this episode of the Heel Turn Podcast, we have interviews with Jade Rose, author of that wonderful fan fiction that SoCy has been touting about for the past several weeks.
the self-proclaimed Miss Ohio herself, Sassy Stephanie. And also, we'll be doing an interview with Shimmer superstar and World League Wrestling Women's Champion, multi-time WLW Wrestling Champion, the one and only Miss Natural, Heather Patera.
And we also have with us Pro Wrestling Guerrilla superstar and Dragon Gate superstar, Brian Cage. Now, without further ado, let's get things started with SoCy's interview with...
First up, we have my interview with Jade Rose, the author of the Sheamus, John Cena, and Randy Orton trilogy, Demons of the Past, Saving Super Cena, and Coming to Terms. And here's the interview. Ladies and gentlemen, the Heel Turn Podcast. I'm sitting here with Jade Rose. She is the co-author of the Saving Super Cena and Coming to Terms, that series that we were talking about a few weeks ago. Welcome, Jade Rose.
Thanks, Sassy, for having me.
No problem. I want to just get right into it because I literally have like a ton of questions and I don't want to keep you, here forever. I know you have a life. Sometimes I have a life. Not today though, but so how did you come up with the idea of doing the series and mostly picking John Cena, Randy Orton, and Sheamus? I don't usually see those three together. We've seen the Seton, that's a pairing. It's almost like it's real. It's been around so long, but throwing Sheamus in there, what gave you that idea?
I think it's funny. Randy and Sheamus actually first came in my mind when they started the whole pairing, the Celtic Vipers tag team they had. Then working with Waldron, was it Waldron 82? Between the two of us, we decided to do a role-playing story, as they call it. Well, we each picked character, and it was shortly during the UK tour when John had the ankle injury, and I'm sure a lot of fans, have the feeling, this guy works way too hard. He needs to learn how to take a break, and well, that's when we came up with the idea of, well, we're going to have two of his buddies make sure he takes a break.
Awesome. Now, looking at what came next after Saving Super Cena with Sheamus and his powers, where he was able to basically read the thoughts and feelings of of John and Randy to know what they want. That brought me back to the chapter in Saving Super Cena where he has John tied to the bed, and John is in need, we'll say, and instead of untying one of John's hands and letting him handle it himself, he does it for John. Now, was that because that's what John really wanted him to do, and that's what he was feeling because that's what John wanted, instead of just letting John handle his situation himself?
I'm trying to think back. Be honest, back then I don't think we were that set on the whole supernatural thing. It just progressed on its own. As we explained it was a heat of a moment thing. The two guys got in a scuffle and let the heated emotions, and I think there was a line even put in at one time. There's a thin line between lust and hate.
Yeah.
Not that they hated each other, but they were fighting, and it just led to heated blood. And Sheamus wasn't thinking that there was a quote better alternative than what he did.
Okay, I can see that. I didn't know how far back that you all thought of that, and maybe that was a little thing that was in there that we, didn't pick up on. But that's cool too. That's okay. Now, if I remember correctly, there was a point in Coming to Terms where Randy was having like weird rage issues for no reason. Do you remember that?
Trying to see, the stories kind of stopped throwing together after a while.
Yeah.
There has been times like, actually I thought it was Super Cena where
maybe
Randy was starting to get was coming around to his more bottom side, and it scared him, so he ended up lashing out.
Okay, maybe that was it, and I just wasn't, because for me it's all kind of one thing for me too. So while I was thinking up stuff, I'm like, I'm not sure if that actually happened there, or if it happened there, but I know it happened, and we'll talk about it. Oh, here's a major question: will we ever find out what happened to Randy during his blackout when him and Miz?
Him and Miz.
Yeah,
I have debated delving into that because with a role play, it's between the two of us. I write primarily Sheamus and Randy and the wrestlers, so if I did delve more into that, it would be something I would be writing more on my own time away from Waldron.
okay.
So I haven't quite decided how far I'm going to go into the whole Miz Randy aspect.
Okay. And my next question. Now, there's a lot of sex in this story, which I'm not complaining about. I absolutely love it because it gives you something in every chapter. Is it hard to keep it original and keep from? Because I know it's like every time it's different. It's not just the same thing. Insert, thrust, repeat. It's there's a little something different. Is that hard to keep it original and keep it from becoming dull?
See, this is the odd thing. The way that we tend to write, and I know some people probably hearing this will probably think that we are crazy. We have, I'm sure if you know about writers, we have what we call muses. In our case, it's little versions of the wrestlers that seem to talk to us in our heads.
Right.
And we just write down on the keyboard what pops in our heads. If it seems fresh and original and a little crazy, it's because that's what we're being told.
Okay. So the boys are keeping it interesting.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, this is a question that I've asked a lot of writers because it seems to be a theme in the wrestling fandom. Everybody likes to torture John Cena, and you did a fair amount of torturing to John Cena. What about his character makes him, primed for, getting tortured, getting kidnapped, getting, he just gets everything thrown at him. What is it about his character that makes people want to torture him?
Well, I think as I already hinted, actually the character of John is written mainly by my co-writer.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why she wants to torture the poor guy so much. If you notice in my case, it's actually more Sheamus that takes the brunt of everything.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, Sheamus. Yeah, you tore into Sheamus a lot. You nearly killed him like every other chapter. So poor guy.
I don't know if it's quite that bad, but yeah, sadly has had a rough life.
His poor noggin. I mean, you bash his brains in, you stab him, and poor guy.
He was not stabbed. He was just cut.
Well,
he was stabbed in the past, way in the past.
So Luke just cut him. It wasn't a few. Okay.
Oh yeah, that was actually something I heard on your cast that I actually do want to correct you. It was Eric.
Oh, it was Eric. Okay.
Sheamus was choking out Luke, and to get Sheamus off Luke, Eric cut him.
Okay.
And the cut was actually almost by accident because Sheamus was thrashing with Luke.
Okay.
And basically scraped across the knife and got cut.
Well, now that's clear. Yeah, because I was reading that, and I was just so caught up in oh my God, why are they attacking poor Sheamus? And they're at the company. This is bad for everyone. And then there was blood, and there was a knife, and yeah. So at that point, I didn't know who was doing it. I knew it was one of those boys, and they deserved to die. Okay, like I said, I have a list of questions, and I'm trying to blaze through them as quickly as possible. Will we find out the reason why Randy was able to forgive Triple H and not Batista for his past abuse? Like, in the story, I think he mentions like Triple H like became a family man, but it really doesn't say, you know, what happened to make, because it's like he went from being, you know, sex slave for Triple H to them being back to buddy and family, and that he can trust him and all that. So will there be something to give us a little more insight to what happened to make that change?
Once again, I'm not really fully sure on that. You figure Evolution by this point was what, between 8 and 10 years ago? A lot can happen during that time. When he was with Hunnell and Batista was the more brutal side, and why, yes, Hunnell abused him. He wasn't as bad with him. He was probably the one, you know, after Dave was done doing the damage, Hunnell was there to make sure Randy would be okay.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, now that Randy seems to be having the same, a similar kind of connection with Sheamus as John have been experiencing, will that become deeper? Will Randy be able to, you know, communicate with Sheamus telepathically like John gets to do? Will that get deeper, or will he continue to, you know, put up walls?
Okay, John's is an empathic, telepathic connection, while Randy's is more what I call a dream walker connection. Basically, they both have to be asleep and actually share like a dream together. It's not something that can be done when awake. Right,
and I know that's how it is now. And I was wondering if maybe it would progress, or if that's where Randy was gonna stay. Which either one is okay, but I was just wondering if it would get any, you know, any deeper.
Undetermined at this point.
Okay. You know, when Randy and Miz, when they were, you know, blacked out, and it was undetermined if there was any, you know, rape, or if Randy and Miz had contacted any kind of disease or anything. Well, and Sheamus, you know, did the full body cure on Randy. However, you know, Miz is still, you know, out there waiting, trying to figure out, you know, if he has anything. Will that ever be cleared up, and will we know if something was in Randy, or if they were both, you know, fine, you know, the whole time?
Okay, it may not have been clear, but I thought, at least it was hinted at, that Sheamus, as far as he knew, did not pick up anything. Okay. Since they believe Randy was clean, they just assumed that it would be.
Okay, so it's assumed that Miz will be okay. Maybe I missed that part because I was so worried. So maybe I just missed that part and assumed that the cleaning was whatever was in there was clean, and we just weren't sure if there was something or not. So, okay. Now there seems to be a kind of a parallel between the WWE storylines and what's happening in your story. You know, insofar as, you know, Sheamus was gone. Then in your story, Sheamus was gone. Then John left. And in your stories, John's gone. You know, Randy became champion. Randy became champion in your story. So I'm wondering, is that intentional, and will it continue?
Up into a certain point, yes, I tried to incorporate the current lines into the story. And then, of course, some things are weird. Like, I actually substituted Sheamus in the story for Kane in real life being the one that got attacked by the Wyatts.
Right.
Yep. The fact that he sadly actually did get injured at Money in the Bank and is now out on, like 4 to 5 months recovery time, that was, you know, total after the fact. And it's like, okay, that's just strange when stuff happens after the fact. Same thing, Randy was already champion by the time I made him champion in the story. Right. And in our story, I actually made him champion like a month early. Because he actually does not become champion until SummerSlam in real life. Right. Why, in our case, we did it the day after. Was it Money in the Bank? I get pay-per-views mixed up. Yes. So, some stuff is parallel and some stuff is different. Like, obviously, in my universe, Luke and Eric are gone. Even if they happen to recover, they ain't getting no jobs. Oh, no. Isn't happening.
Yeah.
So obviously some stuff in my universe changes, but other stuff tries to kind of keep the same.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I do, because it kind of it makes it a little more fun to watch the WWE product when you have that story in your head. You know.
I'm already laughing because I've actually had people tell me that when they saw Sheamus injured, all that was going through their heads is, why don't you heal yourself? And then they're like, wait a minute, that's a story, not real life.
Yeah.
And as a writer, that makes me feel good that I have people that immersed in my universe, that even if it's only for a few seconds, that disbelief vanishes.
Yeah. And I want to thank you for not including the chicks in the story. I really, because I a lot of even the slash fiction are trying to include, you know, the girlfriends in some sort of, well, it's fake or whatever, and you just completely ignore them, and I love that, because I don't want to.
I think I mentioned, was it Reese, which is obviously, if people don't know, the connection is short for Maurice,
right,
who's the wife of Miz.
Yeah, but I mean for your main characters, you know.
Oh, okay.
You know, because if I see one more story with Nikki's name in it, I might gouge my eyes out. I don't want to see that. I know it's bad, but I just don't. And I also appreciate you, like, not having, you know, the ex-wives clubs in the story too. I like that there's none of that. It's just the boys. That makes me feel good. Now, I noticed that the story kind of plays like a soap opera, where there's, like, you know, we got this, you know, as soon as we get this fixed, there's this, you know, problem now, and, you know, we get through that, and now we have this, and it just keeps going and going. I love that, because it makes me feel like that it's not gonna, you know, just abruptly end. But is there an eventual end game to the story?
When we started it we went in the middle of working on Saving Super Cena. We originally were going to say there was going to be 3 stories. Well, actually 4. At the time, we didn't have the prequel yet. I'll be honest, the second story is getting so long and so out of hand. We don't know if there's going to be a 3rd story, or if we're just going to continue the second one until who knows how many 100 chapters.
Right.
The last story is actually going to deal with the guys going back over to the UK for the fall tour that they have, which is going to be in November.
Right. Okay.
And we are actually going to have a re-emergence of the guys that are after Sheamus.
Okay.
That we heard about in Saving Super Cena, and obviously heard more about in the prequel Fighting of Demons Past.
Yes. And I'm glad we're going back to that, because I wasn't sure if we were, you know, because we were back in the States, we were just going to drop that, or if we were eventually going to visit it, or if they were going to come to the States. I didn't know where we were really going with that, but I like that it will be revisited. And could you give us, like, I haven't read the chapters today. I did see in my email that I got that there were 2 chapters today, which I'm so happy about. That will be my reading for after our interview. But can you give us just a teaser of what's to come in the story?
Okay, well, as we just recently had, Sheamus is finally awake. He kind of fudges things a little bit to get to the hospital early against John's better judgment. A little more interaction with his aunt, who is a sweetheart.
Yeah, she rocks. I love her.
Currently, we were working on the guys trying to get finally down to John's house in Florida to try to get Sheamus moved.
Okay.
But as you said, that poor guy going through so much, getting thrown out of his house.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't even his fault.
Right.
Can't help it. It happens.
That's why you don't live in gated communities.
Yeah. I have something that I've been solo writing. I sometimes write chapters in advance to throw in when they come up. I do have something coming up involving Randy dealing with SummerSlam.
Okay.
Which would be the next pay-per-view.
Sounds great. I can't wait to get my hands on. I can't wait to get my hands on the chapters today. So I'm really excited. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview, especially at such short notice. I think I only talked to you Wednesday. I had no
Something like that.
I had no idea you would say yes so quickly, and I thank you so much for that.
No problem.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Miss Jade Rose. Do you want to give a shout out to Waldron82?
Always. Yeah, she's a great girl. Sadly, she's not on much anymore, but I'm glad people are getting to enjoy both of our writings through our series. And I'm hoping everyone continues to. And even if you don't feel comfortable reviewing the story, feel free to always drop me a line through my private message, and I try to respond to them when I can.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jade Rose, and thank you for the interview again. And we will message you, talk to you later.
Okay. Thanks again.
Thank you, Jade, for taking your time out of your busy schedule to sit down and talk with us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I give you the new #1 contender for Remix Pro Wrestling Women's Championship, Sassy Steffi. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Heel Turn Podcast's exclusive one-on-one interview with Shine superstar Sassy Steffi. Now, Sassy Steffi is also a 5-time champ in other promotions, as well as a 2-time tag champ and PWI's ranked number 41 for the years of 2011 and 2012 of women wrestlers. Sassy Stephanie, how are you doing today?
Good. That's quite an accomplishment list I have. I guess I don't really keep up with my own accomplishments. I'm sitting here listening like, wow, I did do that, didn't I?
Yeah, and it's quite cool. I mean, for someone who started so recently as you have, you've accomplished quite a lot. I mean, your debut was in 2007, correct?
Yeah, it'll be 7 years next year, which is just, I don't know, to me it seems like that's such a long period of time, but it feels like such a short period of time too, because, it's just, it goes by so quickly.
I know the feeling. Now, I have one question for you. Now, on your Glory Wrestling profile page, you have listed as one of your hated enemies your Angel Dust, and you two had a tag championship together, did you not?
Yeah, we did, at PWI up in Erie a long time ago. And, it's weird because Angel Dust, for a long time, her and I wrestled very, very frequently. And I actually just saw her over the weekend, and I haven't seen her probably like 2 or 3 years. So I would say she's not one of my most hated enemies anymore. I mean, I haven't seen her, we haven't wrestled, we haven't had any conflicts, so.
Right.
And the Glory page, it's funny because I don't think I've updated that in such a long time. I'm sure so much stuff has changed since then.
I have to do my research everywhere I can.
Hey, I appreciate the research.
Yeah, now, how did you feel when you got the ranking on the PWI 2 years in a row?
Oh, it's amazing because right now I think women's wrestling is at the height, especially independent, is at the biggest height it's ever been. I mean, there's so many amazing women that are, coming up in the business. There's women who have been in the business for longer than I have. There's just unbelievable talent, and to be included in, being a 40, what PWI thinks is the 41st best woman out of all of these women, and when there's basically hundreds of them now, is just a crazy, crazy great feeling to have.
And now, you said in your profile page that you used to be a DJ. Do you still do that?
No, actually, I went back to school to do radio and TV broadcasting, because it's one of the things I miss. And they're like, when you break into a new kind of job or career, especially one that has the sometimes most random hours as radio and TV would, they want you to work weekends. And obviously my weekends are already preoccupied with my wrestling schedule, so I'm not currently doing anything right there right now, but, the hope is in the future that, someone will pick me up and be like, hey, we really like this girl.
I saw that you also worked at the Jersey All Pro Wrestling. women's
Yes, I
division.
did.
How did you
That
like
was, what was that?
I was just going to ask, how did you like it?
I like it. It's been a while since I was in. I had black hair when I was there, which has been, it'll be 2 years in January since I dyed my hair red. So it's been quite a while, but it was great. I started out on the first ever women's show that they had, and then there was a couple after that before, they stopped running their own women's shows. But I had a blast there. My first match there was, against Foxy Cotton, and one of my matches after that was against Allison Danger, and I was still new into the business, and both of those women I had looked up to greatly, so to get into the ring and be trusted to go out and have a great match with them was, very good for me. It was, I learned a lot from them, especially Allison Danger. I mean, she's been my mentor for, almost all 7 years that I've been wrestling, because I was a fan of hers even before I got started in wrestling. So to have her, I actually refer to her as my wrestling mom. If I have a question or a concern with something in my career or a way to handle something, I always, try to get a hold of her and see if I'm, going about this the right direction. So, being in the ring with her, that was the second time ever that I was in the ring with her, but the first time was a 4-way and I didn't get much action in with her, so I was, really happy with my time at JPW.
What's the feelings that you got when you achieved championships in such an early stage of your career?
It's amazing, really, to even be considered to be, number one contender or be in a championship match means that, you're performing well and the company trusts you to potentially hold the title, which is basically, they trust you to put on a good show. They want you to be there all the time. And, I mean, to have that kind of responsibility is, something big. And when you are in a championship match and then end up winning the championship, it's nothing that I take lightly.
Right. Do you see a difference in how crowds react to women wrestlers from, like, say, 10 years ago to today?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, right now, women's wrestling is continually growing, continually getting better, and I look forward to see what's going to happen even in the next 10 years. But, 10 years ago, you were just coming out of the Attitude Era, or we're still in the Attitude Era, and, most of that was, we want to see puppies, we want to see the HLA, and all that kind of stuff that WWE was putting out on TV. And, for those women that were there, that was great. But, you also had people like Trish Stratus, who wasn't just doing that, she was putting on amazing matches as well. And, so coming out of that and trying to make, fans understand that you're not going to get puppies or hot lesbian action or whatever you want to call it, it was, really difficult when I first broke in, because that's what everybody wanted to see. They didn't really care about the athleticism, but, since that time, the TV, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, all being on TV, have really changed that, and, they're more into the athleticism, and so, therefore, it has grown, and I think, with the women that are in, the independents, they've been able to be blessed with that too, since they changed their attitude up in the higher levels.
I'll agree with that. How do you feel about how Total Divas has been received?
When that show debuted, I watched it because I wanted to hate that show with a passion. I had this feeling in my heart that is what I wanted. And I watched it, I've seen every episode. In fact, I can't wait for it to come back on. I love the show. I think it is quality TV. I think it shows not everything in the wrestling world, but it gives fans an in to see kind of what we go through. Now, with me being an independent wrestler, obviously, I spend more time driving on the road. I'm not flying everywhere. I do get flown some places, but, it's a lot of driving. But how you saw at the beginning of the season when the Bellas met JoJo and Eva Marie, they're like, oh, these are new girls, we have to watch out, this is competition. That is how every show is. make it, and at least make it appear that way, to show some of the darker side of wrestling when you're afraid of that competition and afraid of those career-ending injuries. I think it's amazing. I love what they're doing.
I agree with you on them showing the behind the curtain. And then when it comes to the show, though, I can't watch it. I know too much about their lives from other sources.
Yeah. Well, the way I look at it is, I hear all sorts of things. As personally, I don't know any of the girls on the show. But, you hear things online, and not necessarily are they always true. They probably stem from one incident that was true, but, I know, and they've come out and said that even Total Divas is scripted. I get it, but I think, you can't really take everything that you hear as truth. There might be some other factors into it. So, I enjoy the show. I really like to see where they're heading in their careers, their personal lives and whatever. They're like, I don't care who you're really dating, but of course, Daniel Bryan and John Cena are going to be on the show, of course, and whatever Uso, because those are all guys that are fighting for championships right now, whether the tag championship or the WWE championship, and then John Cena getting injured. So of course they're going to kind of throw some, storylines in that show too to boost, people wanting to watch watch Raw or SmackDown or whatever even more than they already are just because of the girls.
Have you had a chance to watch the Lipstick and Dynamite DVD?
Oh my god, I love that DVD. I've watched it many, many times. In fact, when I was finishing up my schooling, I was trying to do my own version of Lipstick and Dynamite, but then I had some personal things come up, because there's so much more that I think could have been added to that. I mean, don't get me wrong, that alone, as is amazing.
Agreed.
But what I want to do is I would look big. I would like an hour and a half where I can do a half hour of older wrestling, a half hour, I'm talking, 70s, 80s, that kind of stuff. And maybe even earlier if I can find the ladies, but unfortunately, with time going by in the professional end, a lot of them are no longer around. And then take the women of the 90s and early 2000s, some of the girls from WWE, if I could, Molly Holly would be on the top of my list for that. And then, some of the girls that are coming up in the business now, the last half hour, just to see the progression of wrestling from then until now. I think, and the differences or the similarities that there still are to those days to now. And I just think that would, blow up, but unfortunately, I had some personal things that came up, and I just wasn't able to ever really get a grasp on, I had a grasp on the concept, and when I announced it online, to see if anybody would be interested in it, I had a lot of interest in it, but then, like I said, personal things just kind of took it by the wayside, and I haven't been able to do any development with it since.
Right. It's definitely something. I don't think half hours could really encompass everything. It would be probably better to do a mini-series, like a 3-episode mini-series.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but unfortunately the people today, their, stand of paying attention to stuff is not very long.
Shame on them.
So, personally, me, I would love to, if I were still to go back and do it, which I would like to do at some point in time, I would have hours and hours and hours of footage from each section, and if I could put all of it out there, I definitely would without editing it, just to let people see, but I'm not going to, not put the best product out there and obviously edit it down to whatever was the best portions and stuff like that, but I would love to do that. If I just have the time and money right now to do that.
I'm in the same boat with my ideas, so I know the feeling. If people want to get a hold of you on social media, how can they do so?
Alright, easy enough. Facebook.com/officialsassy. I update that more than I do anything else. I do have a page where I can add you as a friend, but it has 5,000 friends. And then I have my personal one, which is for me and my fiance and actually family and friends and stuff like that. So I try not to add anybody there that I don't personally know. So go to Official Sassy. You'll find me. Like I said, I update that more than I do anything else anyway. And I have my dates and where I'm going to be and merch and all sorts of ideas up there. And then on and went to SeaWorld. So there's a lot of cool pictures in there of different things I got to do. I also got to ride in a helicopter, which was pretty badass. So I put a lot of my, not just wrestling stuff up there, but also, my life, and you get to see some of the things that I do outside of wrestling.
Get a chance to peek behind the curtain then, huh?
A little bit, yeah. And, I think Instagram's great for that. Like, I know there's a few other women like myself that post, of their real life. And I think it gives, fans a little, sneak into our lives and, get to see what we go through on a regular basis. Maybe not everything, but, they get to see the people in their lives. And, because on the wrestling shows, you might not see that. You might not see who my family is or who my fiance is or, who my best friend is. But you'll see all of that on Instagram.
Right. I wanted to ask you, how'd you like wrestling school, and what was your experience with it?
Oh, it was great. I was blessed. When I first got into wrestling, I went to several shows where women were performing, and I knew that particular promotion had its own school. And the one that I went to was for Ohio Championship Wrestling, which is in Coshocton, Ohio, which is in pretty much the middle of nowhere. And we trained basically in an old car maintenance place. It was big enough for one car, and it still had like the hole where you drain the oil out or whatever, and the people are down below, but we had the ring over top of that, and like one little office. And it had no heating in the winter. People are like, oh, it's so glamorous. No, it's really not. It was this little building with no heat in the winter, and it is Ohio, so it gets very, very cold. So I'm wearing multiple layers. But when I first went to that show, it was Lexi Lane versus Chantel Taylor, which most people would know better as Madison Rain versus Taylor Wilde. And
Oh, wow.
when I saw that particular match, I was like, okay, I know that Lexi Lane trains with this OCW, and I like the way she works. I like her style. I want to be at this school. She was the most impressive of the ones that I had seen. And so I went there and I had a tryout, and after that I started training, and, at that time Lexi, who was, Madison Rain, she was already onto the scene and already wrestling a lot, so sometimes I didn't get to always wrestle with her because she was on the road and she hadn't made it home yet, or whatever, so I trained with a lot of guys a lot of times too, and it was crazy, because women's wrestling and men's wrestling, even though it's the same thing and you're doing the same moves, it's totally different because of the body mass, usually.
Yeah.
Men are generally bigger than women, so, I was getting tossed around a lot, so I learned how to take a lot of, abuse, I guess, in the first, year or so that I was training, but, I wouldn't take it any other way because I wrestle some of the best women in the world, and a lot of them are bigger than I am, so it really toughened me up for the way the wrestling world really is.
Cool. Okay, now do you have any dates coming up, or are you still on vacation?
Oh, no, I'm done. I'm back. I'm back on the road. Just the other day, I was at AIW's Girls Night Out in Cleveland, which is actually very close to home for me because I live in Akron, Ohio. And that was fun. I got to wrestle two girls I've never wrestled before. This weekend, I'm wrestling in Marion, Ohio, which is only about 2 hours away, which is kind of nice because it's kind of close. And I'm wrestling Maria Kanellis from WWE, or former WWE diva, and current Ring of Honor First Lady.
Yeah.
And then the following weekend, I will be at Shimmer, which is the greatest women's promotion in the entire world. Then the weekend after that, I will be back at Shine Wrestling, and that match has already been announced as well. It is myself and the SNS Express, that is for Southern, Nevaeh, and Sass, for Jesse Bell, Nevaeh, and myself. And we will be taking on Leva Bates and Santana Garrett and Amber O'Neil.
Cool.
So, and I'm lot of strong personalities on that match, I think. So I think it's definitely, you can't be in Ybor City in Florida on the end of the month. You should definitely be watching it on www.live.com.
Cool. We actually are going to be talking with another Shine /Shimmer girl next week as well, Miss Natural, Heather McQuinn.
Yes, Miss Natural. I love her. I would like to get the chance to wrestle her as well because I know that we both appreciate the older style of wrestling, and I have not been able to do so yet. So maybe we'll get that, in the future. I would love to.
Yeah. You know what? I think that'll do it for us for this interview. I'd love to have you back on because you sound like a wellspring of just conversation and insight to the business.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, with going to school for radio and TV, and, I started off as a DJ a long time ago. It's something that comes easily to me, being able to conversate with people, and, if I can't have a conversation with you, you must be like a brick wall or something, is the way I look at it, because I can usually drag just about anything, drag conversation out of somebody, so.
Yeah, I am the same way. It's just, I stumble when I talk.
That's alright, it happens.
Well, I guess that'll do it for us. Thank you so much for coming on the Heel Turn podcast. We wish you luck with your career, and I hope to hear from you again.
I would love it, and thank you for having me. It's been awesome and really nice conversation.
You take care of yourself. God bless, and we will catch you some other time.
Alright, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Alright, bye-bye.
Next, we're going to have our third natural interview with Miss Natural herself, Heather Patera.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give to you multi-time World League Wrestling Women's Champion and current Shimmer Athletics Superstar. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the one, the only, Miss Natural, Heather McQuinn. Heather, welcome to the Heel Turn Podcast.
How's it going? Yeah, you can drop the McQuinn part. That's a married name I don't like to use anymore.
Oh, wow, okay.
Well, sorry.
So to our audience out there, do not use McQuinn. It's completely eradicated. It's deleted.
Yeah, no, that's alright. But yeah, how's it going now?
It's going, Heather. How's it been going with you? How's life been treating you, babe?
Don't call her babe.
Yeah, he did just call me babe, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
So that's what no, life's been great, man. Pretty much wrestling almost every single weekend. Minus December, I'm probably not going to be doing any shows because I'm going to be going on vacation for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. So, Disney World. So, yeah, I can't complain. Life is great.
Awesome. Heather, just to start off tonight, what inspired you to get involved in the wrestling industry?
I mean, obviously, like my dad and everything. That's obviously one. The other one would be Hulk Hogan. Like, I tell everybody that one too. I mean, ever since I was 7, I started watching wrestling. Really getting into it. And I just remember like Hulk Hogan's entrance and like how like his song, even to this day, gives me chills. I just watched Yokozuna versus Hulk Hogan, today. And but yeah, no, it's the song. I mean, just like the electric.
Yeah, the real American song.
Yeah, the electricity of the crowd. It just like how one person. I mean, before they even hit the stage, to go out. I mean, man, these people are like all into it. Like it was a really amazing thing. And he was like the all-American hero back then, and yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's just a whole bunch of factors getting into it.
Okay, describe your life growing up with your legendary father, Ken Patera.
Actually, I lived with my mom a lot. I mean, it's just because back in the day when I grew up, when I was born, he was still on the road all the time, so I was always with my mom. No different than any other kid.
Right. Awesome, man. Heather, what sport in high school did you mostly excel at?
What sport?
Yeah.
Well, shoot. I played softball for 24, 25 25 years. I played volleyball for probably about 5-6 years, hockey for about 5 years. Man, what else did I play? I always joke around and say, yeah, and I was a state badminton champion. That's such a lie, but I think it's like the coolest thing to add in badminton after softball, volleyball, hockey. I pretty much played every sport you could think of. That's where my dad actually, he gave me the name Miss Natural. He's like, you played every freaking sport under the sun. He's like, you're a natural. So, you know.
Awesome.
And the girl I started wrestling with, she was an adult entertainer, so she had, you know, the fake boobs, fake hair, like all this stuff done to her. So it's kind of a combination, but more of the sports, because I caught on to sports so easy.
Right. And Heather, can you describe to our audience your first professional wrestling match at your father's AWA school?
Yeah, believe it or not, I started training May 5th of 2000, so I was 19, just like 11 days before I turned 20. I just totally dated myself, yay. But,
no, don't feel bad.
Yeah, and you know, we trained about 3 days a week, and then I had my first match June 10th, 2000, and, not Prescott, it was in Wisconsin, not too far, it was like Yellowstone or Jellystone or something, Yellowstone, I don't know. It was like a campground and everything. I mean, there was probably at least 500-600 people there.
Oh,
and,
wow.
my sister, one of my sisters was there, and she was just like, "Are you nervous?" And I said, "No." And she's like, "'Cause I am." And I'm like, "Oh man." And my mom was recording the match and everything, and you could just hear my sister laughing the whole time on there. It's hilarious. But no, funny, because like I remember, I didn't really know much about like getting the wrestling gear, the wrestling boots. You know, I was just like, oh, you know, I'll wear they look decent, you know, like they were kind of like yoga pants with a red stripe down it, and I had a flat top with red on it. I mean, it didn't look ghetto or anything on there, but yeah, and I had these shoe boots or whatever that I wore too, but which kind of sucks because they weren't wrestling boots, so they would get stuck on the canvas sometimes because they had the sole and the tread on there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I think the match was probably, I'd say at least 12 to 15 minutes, and my opponent then was Shay Physique. She wrestled at Harley's for probably a good year down there too. Her and I traveled a lot down there. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't remember much, but I remember it was windy. I remember it
Dodgy
was
Wisconsin
windy.
wind.
So while it was windy, did the wind blew up your yoga pants and try to blow you away out of the ring?
No. These are like long. They were skin tight. They had like a boot cut, like down towards the ankles.
Don't know what yoga
so,
pants
yeah.
look like, dude.
Nothing that would take me flying away. No Mary Poppins moments.
And you mentioned that your opponent trained with Harley Race. Can you describe to our audience being trained at Harley Race's wrestling academy?
Oh no, she was trained by my dad too.
Okay.
But she wrestled for Harley.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I love both camps. Pretty much my dad's camp was starting to slow down. Cause I started in 2000, May of 2000, and I started working for Harley after like 3 months after I started. And I really liked their training, and I was just like, wow. I was just watching the guys and their psychology, I was just like, damn, this is awesome down here, And I was only going to move down there for 2 months and train and then come back home. But like my dad, AWA started slowing down and everything, and he wasn't running as many shows, and so I actually ended up sticking down there. In Harley's camp, I will tell you, back in the day was one of the hardest camps, but it was great because it was awesome. HWA, Les Thatcher's HWA was the same way. I loved it because I didn't train at Les's. I wrestled at Les Thatcher's HWA and stuff. But Harley's Trevor Murdoch, one of my close friends, he was there along with his tag partner Bo Schmidt. Matt Murphy, they were the first two graduates of the school, and they led a lot of the training, and they really helped me a lot, like perfect and fine tune, like, you know, make everything clean and crisp, and like give you ideas. And like I tell people, even to this day, I go to Trevor and say, hey, what do you think? And then, you know, so what I love about, you know, like going to him and Matt, you know, it's just like, okay, why would you do that? I'm like, I don't know. You know, I didn't have that dumb plan. I don't know. And it's because it's cool. You know? But yeah, no, I mean, there's one story, I mean, like, even Trevor, he'll laugh, you know, and he'll be like, yeah, we did beat the piss out of you. He's like, but we never went home and thought, damn, maybe we should have went up on natural. He's like, no, we knew you could take it, you know, and he's like, when other girls will come in the school and they're like, oh, I can't do that, this and that, he's like, you were her girl. He's like, if they thought that we could beat you up and you could take it, he's like, then they could take it, you know. I remember there was, we did this is probably one that's kind of burned in my head, but it was Trevor and I forgot who else. We were just dinking around one day in the ring. It wasn't training or anything, but it was just like the middle of the day, and we just decided to go there, and it was Trevor and somebody else against me and Noah, at the time, Noah Superstar, Takao Mori. And so him and I were tagging, and then Trevor, I forgot who it was. It might have been Bull Schmidt, his old partner. Yeah, I remember, like, I think I slammed Trevor, and then I just froze, like, and it was like one of those things I'm like, crap, what do I do now? And Trevor just got up and just nailed the piss out of me. And he's like, you're not going to forget next time, are you? I said, nope, not at all. You know, it's just, yeah, it's one of, I mean, he got me hard, but it was just like one of those things that's what I liked about it. I mean, they never, at either camp, you know, there was no, I cannot speak, preferential treatment, you know, like,
right.
There, you know, it didn't matter if I was a girl or Ken Patera's daughter or anything. It's like you know what, you want to learn to wrestle, you better fucking learn, you know. And, you know, I had the heart and stuff, you know, for it. And, I mean, and I loved it, you know. I mean, I told guys, like, even my ex-husband at the time, or, well, he's not at the time. Well, right now he's my ex-husband. But we weren't dating or anything, but they put us in a mixed tag match.
Mm-hmm.
And it was him and I against Heather Savage and Mark Donaker. And I remember, this is probably this one. So one of my jokes, you know, if you ever see me, I talk a lot of shit in the ring, and it's not to the people, it's to my opponent in the ring.
You know what? I see one of your promos. I see one of your promos on YouTube. You do talk a lot of trash. That's why I really love your heel character.
Yeah. And I mean, like, seriously, like, I talk a lot of shit in the ring to my opponents and everything. So, like, one of my jokes was to Heather Savage. I ate, because they had hot dogs there and everything at the concession, so I was really hungry, so I, like, grabbed a hot dog, and I mean, I just loaded on the onions. So I'm saying, like, oh, I'm going to breathe in her face the whole time. I said, this is going to be so awesome. Turns out, the onions were so strong, I couldn't even handle it. And I could not handle it at all. So I ended up brushing my teeth, and it was still so strong in my mouth. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is bad. Well, my ex-husband, at the end of the match, like, because I'm one of those, I tell the guys, treat me like you're going to hit another guy. Don't treat me any different, you know. And, yeah, so we come to the end of the match. I'm about to shoot Heather Savage into my partner. I keep on saying ex-husband, but my tag partner at the time. You know, so he can spear her, because he actually played collegiate football and high school football, you know, on scholarships and stuff. So he's, like, when he does his spear, he does his spear. Well, she does the underhook reversal, bam, I take it, and oh my gosh, I thought I was going to puke that damn hot dog up. It was so bad. Oh my gosh. It was one of those funny things. And of course, 5 years later, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take the spear again. And then I'm like, when I took the spear on that, I'm like, why the frick did I say I would take that? I said, that son of a bitch hurt. You know, and then, like, he wants to do one last match and everything, and go down to Louisiana to wrestle Steve Anthony. And he's like, yeah, he's like, you want to the only time spousal abuse is, you know, okay is in professional wrestling, you know. Third time, yeah, I don't think I'm stupid enough.
Wow.
Not again. Yeah, but, yeah, I mean, so anyway, yeah, but, like, that's why I love the training where I went, you know, and, like, I'm blessed to be trained by, you know, great people, you know. I mean, even Harley, what I love about Harley, you know, the Japanese, you know, they got really high respect for Harley and everything. And I remember when they were over for the Noah camp, you know, they were in the ring, and then Harley's like, "Here, get in the ring, kid." I'm like, "Okay." And well, he told the Japanese, "Chop me." And they're kind of like looking. I think it was I want to say like I forgot. I honestly can't remember. It was one of the younger kids. But they're like, "Oh no." And Harley's like, "Chop me." So the Japanese guy chopped Harley, and Harley just kind of looked at him like, you know, that's good. And then he looks at me, he's like, "Chop me." I'm like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yep." I'm like, "Okay." Give Harley a chop, boom, and he takes a bump for me. And the Japanese are like, "Whoa." I'm like, "Holy crap. He just made me, wow, a superstar in Japan." Of course, he has tasered my ass a couple, like 3 times. He's got me with it. He's got a taser.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know if the batteries are working on that son of a gun anymore, but man, he has snuck up on me before. Because he's got a chiropractor table at the school. And I remember I was sitting on the edge of it watching the guys in the ring, and all I thought was somebody like sitting down next to me, and the next thing I know, I jumped like 3-4 feet yelling. And I just got tasered in the butt. Oh my gosh. It was good times, so. But yeah, honestly, it was great training. Blessed to have known the right people, you know.
Right.
It's like, I mean, like even Les Thatcher. Oh my gosh, he probably gave me a hard time in Vegas. I think it was '04 when I was out there, and like I wanted to go out there and just enjoy the Cauliflower Alley Club, you know, because I'm like I spent over $700 with hotel and airfare and all that stuff.
Right.
Blah blah blah. And, you know, Les gave me crap. He's like, "Are you going to do the training here?" Because it was like a 3-day camp. And I'm like, "No, I'm just going to do this." You know, he's like, "You know, you can't wrestle on the show if you haven't been here all 3 days." I'm like, "That's right. I don't want to wrestle. I just want to relax, kick back, blah, blah, blah." Well, I think somebody stooged me out, and I was going back to the hotel. It was probably, and believe it or not, I was in there by midnight, but I probably started drinking around 11 o'clock that morning. And it's Vegas. It's Vegas. It was a vacation.
Right.
That's why. Yeah. Actually, no, I like 10:30, because it was with one of the other wrestlers' wives I was hanging out with.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, so coming at midnight at I believe it's the Plaza off of Fremont Street.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yes, what? That son of a bitch was right there. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's why I think somebody stooged me out, and I probably know who it is because they were his students. But Les just had his legs crossed, his arms crossed, and he's leaning up against the wall. He's like, I called Harley, and I go, in a deep breath, I just went, fuck, and I hung my head. And I said, yeah, and he said, you better be there tomorrow or else. I'm like, son of a bitch. But, you know, it's like, actually, that was one of the matches. I ended up wrestling cheerleader Melissa again there. Actually, her, Sarah Del Rey, which was Nikki at the time, and I did a 3-way match in 2003, and then, so cheerleader Melissa and I had that match in '04 there. And at that time, I was just really bummed out about wrestling and the quality of my opponents that were being, you know, there, and I just wanted to quit wrestling. I was just like, fuck it, you know, it's like, I'm not going to get anybody who's better than me that can, you know, I mean, I even talked to Malaya Hosak about moving on to Florida and, you know, training with her down there and whatnot, and I remember telling Melissa that, you know, I really don't have a passion for it anymore. I said, I went 8-9 months with a girl who can barely wrestle. All she knows is a headlock, you know, and,
that's real bad.
Lovely,
Hey,
yeah,
John
lovely
Cena
girl.
did a
I mean,
lot
she was a
with
great
headlock.
girl, but she just didn't know much about the business, and she, you know, you know, whatever. And, but yeah, so I mean, it got me really bummed out, down and out and everything, and, you know, and that match with Melissa, actually gave me that renewal, you know.
Right.
You know, it was, I want to say we went like 15, 20 minutes in front of all the, I don't want to say old timers, I'll call them vets. I always say old timers. You know, and then like after the match, Melissa went over, they applauded us, and then the boys in the back, when we got back there, they were standing up applauding us for that match and everything. And
Awesome.
I mean, yeah, I mean that was just one of those like, it's like this is what I want, you know. That's why I like, you know, about Shimmer, the quality. I mean, the girls that they bring in, you know, it's amazing. You know, the talent that they have, and you know, it's different people. I mean, from all over that you get a chance to wrestle. You know, that's not normally here, but especially in the Midwest, because I haven't really. I mean, honestly, I haven't really been out of the Midwest
Right.
yet in the last year and a half. Just, I mean, back in the day, I wrestled in Vegas, New York, you know, all over. So it's just, I'm trying to get back out there again and whatnot, just to, you know, get the opportunity to wrestle, you know, new up and comers or, you know, vets that are my vets and everything. And it's just, I mean, that's why, like I said, I love Shimmer, you know, and I'm thankful that I was able to come back after, you know, my 2008 stint there.
Awesome. And Heather, what is your overall goal while competing with Shimmer right now?
I mean, honestly, I don't, you know, I'm one of the old guys there, you know, so, I mean, honestly, I don't expect much out of it. I mean, I expect it, I call this my home stretch. I'm almost done, you know?
Okay.
When I say almost done, I'm saying probably 5 more years. Yeah, so I mean, what I want is like the best matches of my career. You know? And if I could get, I mean, honestly, I've always wanted to go overseas, like Germany, England, Australia. I mean, that's always been my goal too. And with Shimmer, that's a chance for outside people to see my work, other than on like YouTube stuff from a year and a half ago or 2 years ago when I first came back, you know. Yeah, so I mean, what I like about Shimmer, I mean, there's, multiple opportunities that come out of it, but in the company, I just want the best possible matches with, I mean, the talent pool that they have, you know. It's amazing. Like, in April, I wrestled Leva Bates and Santana Garrett, and I mean, I said it before, and I told, you know, a couple of the guys, you know, owners of the company and everything, I said she's going to be signed within 2 years.
Right.
I said within 2 years, Santana's going to be signed. I said she's got the look. She wrestles like a diva, you know. She's got it, you know. And then like Leva Bates, I love what I love about her. She's got the cosplay, you know. She just dresses up in all those costumes and everything. I think it's hilarious. Like, it's great. Like, our match, we did Star Wars versus Star Trek. You know, that was probably, other than my December 22nd match with Stacey O'Brien, I said that was probably my number one favorite match, just because of all it was proper comedy spots, you know?
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, and then back in October last year, I mean, I wrestled Casey Spinelli, Stu Young, cheerleader Melissa, and that was cheerleader, Melissa and I, that was the first time since Vegas in '04 we stepped in the ring with each other.
Oh, wow.
You know, so that was 8.5 years later. You know, so it was nice to get the opportunity, you know, to do that again. And dang it, there was one more person, and I forgot who it was, because I wrestled 4 matches back in last October. Oh, Veda Scott. I'm sorry, we were on volume 50. Yeah, you know, I mean, so it's nice, because, yeah, I mean, I'm one of those, I'm happy where I'm at, because I get to wrestle a lot of different people, you know, so,
yeah. Heather, I know you say you got like 5 years left in the tank. Do you see yourself potentially winning the NWA Women's Championship before your 5-year run is up?
You know what? That is one thing, that is like honestly one of my goals before I retire. Big time. Because, I mean, it's one of those, like, I mean, I know I talked to Trevor Murdoch about this, when was it? I want to say back in May when we were at the airport, when we were up in Minnesota for David we were sitting at the airport, and I was telling him, I said, man, I want that championship. I said, this is something like, I said, I know it's not a men's championship like Harley had it,
Right.
but, to me, it's holding their most prestigious title, and being a student of Harley's also, I said, that's just one of my goals, I said, I want to, have that, it's something that, it is one of my goals. And, even Trevor said himself, he's like, that is a title that I would like to have, pretty much, for the same reasons too,
Right.
Here is our mentor, our teacher, he held it 8 times, and we want to be, like, just basically like a protege,
Right.
This is what we would like, just the rich history behind it, and, I feel like I'd have a lot to offer the NWA with, my wrestling and everything, holding that title.
Exactly. Heather, do you have ambitions before your run is completely over with to compete either in WWE or TNA?
Honestly, I always tell people I'm too fat and too old for WWE. But, I don't know.
You're perfect the way you are.
Thanks. Oh, man. I always tell people spandex and vinyl tell a different story.
Not to a lot of the wrestling fans out there.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I would like to just, even if it's a small stint with TNA, it would always be nice. It doesn't have to happen.
Right.
But, it's one of those things that would always be nice. Just to, like you said, when you retire, you can always say, yeah, I did that, I know there was that TNA all-women's pay-per-view and everything.
Right.
Josie, she called me about that, and unfortunately, I was already booked in Tennessee in March on March 16th, and I think that pay-per-view was like on the 17th, and it was in Florida.
Right.
And I was like, oh, son of a gun! I said, I've been booked for this show for like the past 4 months. I can't just up and cancel, because that was actually Trevor's first show back too, in like over a year and everything. So I couldn't flake out on him, because we're pretty much like a package deal there on that.
I have a quick follow-up question. What are your plans when you finally hang up the boots?
You know what? I don't even I'm kind of like a fly by the seat of your pants or something person.
Right.
I don't make plans. I don't. My ex-husband would always get pissed off at me. He's like, well, what are you going to do? He was like, what are you going to do for a career? I do massage therapy, and I'm also a licensed practical nurse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like he's always like, well, what do you got 5 years down the road? What are you going to do 10 years down the road? What are your goals? I'm like, I said, honestly, I could die tomorrow. I said, why worry about a goal that I can't reach?
Right.
Honestly, probably the goals, even with wrestling, when I was younger, I was like, yeah, man, I'd love to go make this WWE or make it here and there. I said, but I never, I do make goals, but I never, stress out over anything or make plans. Because honestly, I am one of those people, you could die tomorrow, and what did all that stress and aggravation and planning, do, nothing,
Agreed.
So honestly, yeah, I could tell you, I don't have any idea what I'm going to even do a year from now. That's why, when I started taking bookings again, like doing full time again, to plan out 3-4 months in advance on a show. Sorry, I'm eating.
Okay.
I'm eating brown rice and chicken. I'm dieting this week.
Oh, that actually sounds good.
I can't.
Oh, it's great.
I've sworn off rice for a while.
You sworn off rice for a while?
But brown rice is healthy, though.
No, I'm sworn off most carbs for a while. I'm mostly protein right now.
See, brown rice, if you eat like rice, that and like malto meal, do you guys know Keith Walker?
Yeah.
The human master, yeah, he's kind of helped me. He's had this plan for me, this meal plan for me. So like he's like, these are the good carbs. They're not like sugary carbs and stuff. It's like your body processes them really really easy and everything. So yeah. So I mean, like in the morning, I have 6 egg whites with 1 ounce of malto meal, and I put like a truvia or stevia and then cinnamon in there, and then I have chicken with 4 ounces of baked potato, and then and then chicken with an ounce of almonds, and I have chicken with half cup of rice, and then I'm way behind on my meals. Like my next meal is supposed to be 6 egg whites and a salad. Balsamic vinaigrette. So I'm behind on my meals actually today.
Oh, okay. And Heather, for our fans, how can they be able to reach you via social media?
Social media on Facebook, you can actually find me under Heather Malberg. Quotations are one of those things, semicolons, Patera. Malberg is spelled Mahlberg. If anybody wonders, because everybody asks, it's my mom's name, and that was my maiden name.
Okay.
So that was my mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I am on Twitter also, and Twitter, you can find me at Miss, M-I-S-S, Natural 2000. I'm also on Instagram. You can find me under Miss Natty 13. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm like a social media whore. I find the funny, I mean, like, I don't know, and I'm just really goofy. Like Twitter, I just screw around on there. My Facebook, I pretty much keep it PG-13. My Twitter, I just care less. So
awesome.
I love it. Yeah, it's just I really like to dink around and like say stupid things on there. So I mean, it doesn't really represent who I am. Does that make sense? Like I just like to
it
dink
makes
around on
sense.
there. Yeah.
Hey, the great thing.
Don't take a lot of things serious on there.
The great thing about social media, you can just basically just say wherever you want. And I do.
Yeah, exactly.
Just say wherever you want and just like whatever, you know. Heather, it was great talking to you tonight. We definitely would like to bring you back on and talk to you some more.
Yeah, definitely was a pleasure, you guys. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Heather. You have a blessed night. You hear me?
You too. God bless you guys.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was our interview with Ms. Natural. I sincerely wish her the best of luck with her next 5 years' worth of career. I hope it's a great one. I hope she wins all the titles that she wants, and hopefully we'll hear from her again.
And finally, our last interview with Pro Wrestling Gorilla and Dragon Gate USA superstar, the one and only Brian Cage.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the Heel Turn Podcast, I want to introduce to you Pro Wrestling Gorilla and Dragon Gate USA superstar, the one and only, the sensational, the one half of the effing machines, Brian Cage. Brian, welcome to the Heel Turn Podcast.
Hey, thank you for having me. You botched the name there a little bit. It's the Unbreakable effing machine.
Oh,
forgive you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me apologize to you and the audience. One half of the effing Unbreakable machines. You need another beating.
It's the Unbreakable effing machine.
Unbreakable effing machines. Okay, Brian, you're more than welcome to kick my tail.
All right, I appreciate that.
He needs it. Yes, I need it. It's been a long day for me, so I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Brian, just to start off, man, what inspired you to get involved in wrestling?
I think about 10 years old, there wasn't like a moment or like a match or, just like a one-off, a cute time. I just saw something, I was like, oh, I want to wrestle. I saw it for the first time when I was like 5, and I watched it pretty continuously until I was about 8 or so in 3rd grade, and I got grounded from it for about a couple years from all the rough housing and damages that me and my brothers were causing. And in 5th grade, I started watching it again. I don't know. I just decided at some point that I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do. Like there's nothing else. I don't want to go to school and be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever else. I was like, I want to be a wrestler. And too, obviously, a big influence in one of all-time favorites of Shawn Michaels, and he always talked about his boyhood dream, and, you know, being 12 and he was knowing exactly what he wanted to do. I'm like, well, him at 10, I know what I want to do, so I got him beat. But, yeah, I don't know, it just lasted on, and everybody was like, oh, that's a nice little kid fantasy. Like, oh, okay, it's a cool little dream, but it doesn't come true, or, oh, you'll go into that, or, oh, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But it just, every year after year, it would just go bigger, bigger, and stronger, stronger, and I'm like, no, this is going to be, you know, an actuality. I'm going to make it come true, and, you know, such is the case.
Okay. Awesome. And, Brian, can you quickly describe to us your relationship with the late Chris Kanyon?
I was a big fan of Kanyon. But WCW, I'd never gone to a WCW show. I went to many WF shows, you know, at that time. But he was always one of my faves.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites to be on WCW Revenge. But I was a big fan of his moveset. I liked all of his, you know, innovative offense, and
right.
He just do stuff, you know. Yeah, Team 4, he pull out like awesome underrated matches with, you know, Jobber 1 and Jobber 2 didn't matter, and I just punches. I liked everything he did. And when he got brought over with the old Alliance angle, I was stoked, and the next opportunity I got to go to Raw, my main focus, I was a junior in high school. My main focus was to make a Who Better Than Kanyon sign. So that's exactly what I did, and my whole goal was just, you know, take it there and have them see it. And it was when Kyle came off the milk and he sprayed everybody down in the ring.
Right.
And but before that, somebody like threw something in the ring, and Kanyon and Tommy started both, and like struck my second rope, like looked out in the crowd, and I was like in the 6th row on the floor, and I took that as an opportunity. So I stood up on my chair, I grabbed my sign, I waved my sign right in front of him. And he looked right at me, right at my time. I knew he saw it, and I was like, there it is, boom. Mission accomplished, game over. Like, I was excited. Then, you know, Colonel comes out, sprays his milk, and, running up in the air, holding to the mic, because some, like, post-show, you know, promos and whatever. And as they're leaving, walk up the ramp, he starts pointing my direction. And I look at him, and I point at myself, like, me? He goes, yeah, and he gives me the big thumbs up. You know, it sounded like I got chopped or something. I sit down there to my friends. Did you see that? That's awesome. And, you know, we're pounding forward. We're walking up the stairs to leave Marco Arena. And my brother's going, oh, what, you can see all the tights on up here, and if you can see, you know, the wrestlers. And I look like, no, you can't. And we start walking, and I look back down again. And I see Kanyon walking back down. I'm like, what the? Holy crap. So I turn around. I run back down the stairs. I blasted, you know, man, one more child. It didn't matter to me. I ran through everybody. I literally full head of steam. So I get to the floor, run through the floor, into the safety rail, and I like fall, if you will, just fall over it. And he kind of grabs it and I fall like, whoa, kid. And helps me out. And he goes, here you go. And he gives me the Who Better Than Austin shirt that he presented him that night. So I'm not proud of that. I'm thinking now we you know, make our way out of the arena. I'm screaming at anybody and everybody who has 2 sets of ears about what just happened. And then we find out when the cars are parked, we go there, and I just sit there, you know, in silence, not like who comes out, no matter who it is. And so the king came out and had the sign. I start waving around, I freak out, he sees me, he comes over, he signs the sign, signs my shirt, and I posted this whole story on his message board.
Okay.
And the webmaster board is the Kanyon, and the Kanyon happened actually a little ways down the road. Emailed me on the word, just saying like, oh, thanks for the story, the kind words, I'm glad I can make it memorable, yada yada yada. And he's like, you know, feel free to write me back if you'd like. And so I'm like, what? Email? So I email like every single day, probably for like a month. Like,
wow.
You know, and eventually down the road, you know, he like responds like one word. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So I know this is getting a little long-winded, but that evolved, and then he booted me out. He had a little more time. I talked to him here and there. I told him, you know, I'd be a wrestler. And then as luck would have it, I happened to be there when he came back. And then like Boy George gimmick, and he could beat his ass with the chair. And I happened to get to catch up to him when he was leaving his car.
Right.
I was out there standing by the cars, and he saw me when Bakersfield, California, where I'm from, and I always asked, would you ever be willing to come out and wrestle me? And he said, yeah, kind of like half joking, but serious, and eventually I got a call from him, and he was like, hey, I'm booked over in the Bay Area, but they're going to fly me out for a couple days early.
Right.
I want you to run a show in the middle of July because I'll be out there, and I told you to work it, so I'm working. I'm like, what? We're not running, but I'll run the show now. So, I had to wrestle them, and ended up getting to go back to Florida for a couple weeks with them, and go to TNA, and get trained them, and go to a couple of shows, and we just became really good friends, and he helped me out, and got me to go to Atlanta with him, and helped get me to Detail Wrestling, which led to me getting signed, to my developmental contract, and kind of just leaving through the hoop shit. But yeah, so we were really good friends, and he was the first person I've ever had in my life, significant, that I knew was close to me, that has ever passed away. So that was rough. I was rough dealing with, and I was cooking eggs on the stove, and my phone went off. It was probably close to 7 in the morning, so I didn't really think much of it. So it was kind of early, then my phone off again, then again, like, who the hell is blowing me up at 7 in the morning?
Right.
And I grabbed my phone, and it had like all these text messages from multiple people, and I didn't even open them. I just saw the conversations, and all of them like started kind of similar. And it said sorry about CHR, and instantly, right then and there, I know more than one Chris, but I just knew right away that something had happened in the canyon, and I was like, no, and
wow.
I opened up Reddit, and that's how I found out, and I was like, man, I just talked to him like a week prior to that. And, yeah, it was tough to swallow, but, how much I can do about it now, but, yeah, no, we were good friends. He's a great guy, one of the most genuine, even before we were friends, I thought one of the most genuine people, like, in wrestling as far as giving back to fans, and, just totally cool, and, because a lot of people come to assholes or kind of standoffish or iffy, but, I mean, he'd be out there, with only one sign autographs, he'd be out there all night long, and, it was really cool, too, because he never was, a big star, and which was unfortunate as well. I thought he was really underrated for his skills in the ring. But,
he was very underrated.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, not just his move stuff, but I mean, just his ability to put together a match, like I said, his bumping and his selling, and he's such a creative mind, and just, I know he had a bunch of good ideas, storyline won't think those got shot down, and, and that Mortis never got really used to his full potential, and, I mean, there's just a bunch of deals, and, I mean, it's too bad how it happened, but I'm very glad and very lucky to have, got to have him as part of my life, and the times we shared were great, so.
Okay. Can you tell us the story behind Mortis?
About Mortis?
Yeah.
As far as what? As far as he being Mortis?
Yeah, can you give our fans a little bit of detail about the Mortis character? I believe there was some connection between that and Chris Kanyon.
Well, Kanyon, that was when he debuted in WCW, was as Mortis, and it was originally like kind of like Mortal Kombat characters he had with and that's why they had like Wrath in there and like Ernest Miller, Crummy Guy, Glacier, Sub-Zero. And so originally, Mortis was supposed to be like reptile, but Kanyon was always a big fan of Ghost Rider, so they asked him like a snake going to be his skull. I said sure, so they went to Universal Place and made all costumes, and it was really awesome to get Texas Yank. It just got used very, very, very poorly in WCW, but Kanyon retired when I was in Atlanta. He asked me if I'd be willing to do the Morris character, so to kind of keep his name out and about and his character alive. And I'm like, oh, awesome! Are you kidding me? Yes, I'd love to. So he gave me one of the complete outfits, and I was able to do it a few times, and it was awesome to do it. And I remember he saw one of the matches and sent me a text that I saved as long as I had that phone. That said, I saw your match, one of your matches with Mortis, absolutely fantastic, a phenomenal job. Please keep doing it. So it was a great compliment to get, and I was glad to do that for him. And I had it even when I was signed, and then he kind of made a little return back to the ring, and he asked if I could send it back to him. I mean, I was going to use it because it was under contract, and I mean, it was his to begin with anyway. So I sent it back to him, and actually, I think it was the second to last time I talked to him. He called me about a booking with him, Raven, and myself and it made it fall through.
Mm-hmm.
And then shortly after, I talked to him again, and then shortly after that, that's when he passed. So,
okay.
Unfortunate.
Now, Brian, you had like a short stint in D-Stop Wrestling, then the WWE re-signed you to go to Florida Championship Wrestling. Describe your overall experience competing at FCW.
It was phenomenal, man. It was a fantastic facility, fantastic trainers, a great group of guys and wrestlers alike. I had a blast over there. Absolutely loved it. I mean, especially once I kind of, broke the ice and got comfortable and let myself, be myself.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great time. I loved it. I learned a lot. I had some awesome matches. There's not really anything I can complain about rather than being, I guess, wrongfully released, if you will. Actually, I got to just want to get judgment of that. Everyone was expecting to get for another person to be called up, and all the fingers were pointing at me. Everyone thought that I was the guy. I was
right.
I was one of the better guys, and I'd actually also been anticipating increase in pay as well. So I don't know. I was out and about on a Saturday and realized I missed a phone call. And it was the office, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" I'm stoked. Like, here he is. Like, I'm getting a raise, and called up to go to Raw this Monday. Like, maybe both, whatever. So I call back, all eagerly and anxious, and he starts the conversation. Like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, Brian?" I'm like, "Good." He goes, "Oh, it's good." He's like, "All right." And I'm like, "Okay, here it is. What do you got for me? What do you got for me?" And thinking, and all the next words are like, "Well, I got some bad news." I'm like, "Am I not getting my raise?" And I'm like, "Hold on," in my head, like, "I'm not getting released, am I?" like that was the furthest thing that was from my mind. And they're like, "Yeah, so we're gonna have to come to terms with your release." So I'm like, "What?" Like, I was totally dumbfounded. Did not see that coming. Did not understand why. It was, absolute. Just clear, simple as absolute bullshit. And so that, like, with everything that got released, even the guys that were talented, you saw it coming. And the only, like, saving grace, if you will,
right.
When every guy on the roster texted me, like, "Oh, I was BS." He's like, like, way better than I've been here for X amount of years, and that was the most, BS, like, out of nowhere release I've ever seen.
Right.
And, Dr. Tom, North Smiley, and Steve, they're all big on me, and all told me, that I basically got effed, and to keep, don't give up, you get screwed over big time. And, I know Tom had a little speech like before the next training day on that following Monday, and put me over. So that's all well and good on the inside of it, but it is what it is, and I'm supposed to get re-signed, and I felt through as well, but I don't think so. As soon as I was like destroyed, kind of like, "Oh, happy the run's over," and I stayed in contact with him. I had so many, like, I was about to come back, or it was going to be a tough enough, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And after so many, like, temporary relief followed by extreme disappointment, I finally kind of washed my hands. I'm not all bitter, like, "Oh, I'm never working for them." I was like, "You know what? I like what I'm doing. I'm doing fine. Like, if I go back, cool. If I don't, whatever. I don't need to go back." Like, I wanted to be signed like time was 24. I accomplished that. Like,
right.
All right, let's move forward. So, kind of like, lifted that last feeling off my head. Everything kind of just started feeling better, going better, doing better. So
awesome. Brian, you competed for TNA on 2 separate occasions. After you competed on TNA, did they try to reach out to you and offer you some sort of contract?
The first time, it took a long time to get the dark match, and then I did, and things were great. They put us over, myself over, and then we'll talk about me and Sean Ricker, who has recently signed by Developmental now. They'll come to me and do some tag stuff, and they're definitely interested, and like it seemed like it was all pointing in the right direction. It was just hurry up and wait. And then I got a call on New Year's for the gut check deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the words were too like, "Hey, whether it happens, like whether you get signed or not signed from this, either way, it's only going to help you get signed that much faster." And it basically was under the impression that either way I'm getting signed, it's just either right now or pretty soon. You know what I mean? So, and even after like the cult show, if you will. Which, I don't know, I kind of feel like it was
Okay.
already, maybe, unknown to me, but I felt like this kind of was like already prearranged for Brad to get the nod on that. But either way, like, you know, these folks all came and put me over, I mean, everybody, and basically said, like, hey, you're exactly what we're looking for. So, you know, don't worry about it, but kind of go away. If you're saying, like, I'm exactly what you're looking for, then I'm not getting nine. But, I mean, I'm not blaming them either. I'm trying to bad mouth them. I stay in contact with them as well, and, I just talked about too long ago, and I'm still interested and want something to happen, but I don't know why it hasn't. And, I don't know, and I think, like, I always get bring opportunities that lead to great possibilities that never come to fruition or just always in limbo for whatever reason. So, I mean, all you can do is just keep on keeping on, and hopefully it turns around. So,
Awesome, man. Brian, can you tell us real quickly, how did you get involved with Pro Wrestling Guerrilla out there in Southern California?
oh, I wanted to work there forever, and then, I mean, don't we all? And
I do.
You know what? I'm not even a wrestler, and I want to get involved with Pro Wrestling Guerrilla.
yeah, it's phenomenal, man. It's phenomenal.
It really is.
I was trying, I was talking to Joey about it for a little bit, but then I got signed, and I was kind of like, well, I guess, you know, halfway I don't need it, and halfway I'm not going to be here anyway, so I can't work it, so okay. And then as soon as I got released, you know, I wanted to go back there. My good friend, Brandon Bonham, was working there, and I wanted to work Brandon a lot. He had kind of semi-retired, and we never had a singles match. And he says, oh no, he'd come back out of retirement as if I left WWE, and, you know, the rest of the Indies to work him. So as soon as I got released, he was like one of the first phone calls I made, and he actually ended up getting to come back to wrestling for a little bit. And after many attempts of getting us to work somewhere else, and me trying to get, you know, to work with this gorilla for, geez, it was all, I think, maybe 9 months or so I was trying to, after my release. I finally got the call, they're like, hey, now am I working Brandon Bond finally one-on-one?
Right.
It's off at PWG, and I was like, what? And so I did my debut at 7, which was an amazing card, amazing crowd. Getting to work with my good friends for the first time. I love that match. So it was all great. I mean, that's one of my top 3 favorite matches I've had. And luckily I got brought back the next time, and really haven't missed the show ever since. And that right there, I mean, compared to anywhere else I've worked, that's definitely probably the most fun and like it place there is, you know, to wrestle. I mean, too bad POG doesn't offer salary contracts, because that would be the place to go, man. But oh well.
And Brian, real quickly, we all know that WWE and TNA are the top wrestling promotions in North America, and we could definitely make the argument for Ring of Honor being the number 3 promotion. Do you think Pro Wrestling Guerrilla can be the number 4 big promotion in North America?
You know, I know a lot of people talk about, like, you know, Evolve and Dragon Gate being like number 4. It's tough to say because I think Dragon and Evolve run more,
right?
And also do more, and have the idea reviews and stuff. But I would say that, I mean, I don't know, like the faction numbers as far as who's making what money or DVD sales or whatever, you know. But I don't know. I would almost say that maybe they'd be seen as the 4th company, Dragon Gate, if you will, because of how much they're doing.
Right.
But I can also see PWG as far as the desirability to get there. But even doing ROH, the gorilla want to go there. Like, it seems like even more importantly than working for ROH. You know what I mean? So, and I think that the limited schedule that they run makes it more the spectacle and you know, just kind of creates more of the magic, if you will, that it is. The more of the lore. I think if you ran, you know, twice a month or every month and then pay-per-views and blah, 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 I think it would still be phenomenal, but I think it would kind of lessen it a little bit just because it would become more readily available and more often. So I think that the amount that they run keeps everybody kind of always wanting more. So it's definitely arguably number 4. I kind of I figure those are the pros to go for either or. But I mean, definitely top 5. But either way, you can almost stand on its own. The fact that it's not trying to be like a huge company. It's just kind of like every wrestling fan's, little dream fantasies for all these super matches. That's essentially what it is.
Right. Brian, can you tell us about the upcoming event this weekend with Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, I'm gonna stop Monster Ciampa's face for fucking knocking me out. That's just gonna happen this weekend. But, no, man, I mean, obviously the call everybody girls gonna be awesome. I'm in the 4-way with the younger knees and John Button. I beat 2 of the 3 of the guys just recently, so I kind of feel like the odds would be my favorite to take the W. But outside of that, whatever, you got Joy Ryan and Candace becoming. I might duo take on the Young Bucks, which would be fun. And then with Cole and Riley, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, I'm sure will be phenomenal.
Speaking of that match between Adam Cole and O'Reilly, who do you think will come out on top in that match for the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla Championship?
Adam Cole's been quite well at keeping the title, and then with the whole Mount Rushmore faction deal they got going on, I don't see Kyle coming out on top in that one. So I think Adam will retain and keep going.
Awesome, dude. And if our fans want to reach you via social media, how would they be able to reach you, Brian?
You can send me a message on my Facebook, /Brian Cage, or on Twitter, GMSI_BCage.
Awesome, dude. And thank you for coming on with us. We definitely want to bring you back on the very next time, talk more about your time in Dragon Gate USA, brother. This has been a tremendous interview, and thank you for taking time out with us. And hey, shoot us a tweet when you have the opportunity to go back to the UK. We would really like to promote you on that one.
Definitely.
Will do. Hopefully we see you later, so I'll let you know.
Yep, awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much, and you have a blessed night, sir.
All right, thank you guys. Take care.
All right, take care.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Heel Turn Podcast. I am Big Al.
I am Nick Shotmaster McGee.
Sensational SoCy.
Have a week and get out of my ring.